We'll start with the Gayatri Mantra. Om Bhur-Bhuvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. That means Om, from the earth to what's above, to the celestial plane. There we find a sun-like divinity worthy of reverence. Remover of ignorance, darkness, feminine divine we meditate upon. May you enlighten our intellects, propel us forth. So we are starting a new Sangha today. I look forward to all the lovely beings who are coming in. And they are already joining. Hello Kiki. Hello Ragnhildur. Welcome. Happy to have you guys here so early. I'd love to set the intention while I have a moment that this space is one in which we all can find expression. Hopefully in a way that doesn't impede each other's beautiful expression as we seek to harmonize our diversity rather than be divided by it. Let us come together as fellow students of this mystery we call life, here to uplift each other, share positive sentiments, and relate in one another's experience. Radhe Radhe, dear Magdalene. And hello Kent and Lisa, thank you for blessing us with a heart meet so early on. That's very kind of you. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. Got a little hiccup. Hiya. I am feeling well. I am feeling excited for today. Kiki, how are you doing? I'd love to know what to hold space for today. How the world is doing in its various components around the world. There is a yam dana on my head with some cute kittens wearing bandanas, and there is a yam. There's a yam up there. So I hope you all are having a beautiful day so far, whether it's your morning, afternoon, evening, or night. And always remember that no matter the day you've had so far, the rest of your day can go differently. That you always have the possibility to check in with yourself at any part of the day and move some things around, reallocate some mental resources. How do you want to be the rest of your day? It's good to set that intention. I am in the bushes today. I thought it was a cute little part of my backyard. Nice and scenic. Thank you, dear Usha, for your flowers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sorivar, you had a great day on the 8th. I'm happy to hear that. Thank you for sharing your piece. And I'm happy you enjoyed a sacred day for you. Thank you, dear Usha, for your heart me as well. Om Namah Shivaya. It is true, I did make math videos before. And Valentina, thank you for your heart me. Om Brahm Bhairavaya Namo Namaha. And thank you, King Mikey, for your heart me as well. Radhe Radhe. I don't still do math videos at the moment, but there are wonderful channels that I can direct you to that still do. The classics like 3 Blue, 1 Brown, Matt Parker, Numberphile, Mathologer. Those are all great math channels that you can find on the interwebs. Hello Gina. Welcome. And thank you for blessing us with a pair of roses. Much love to you. Hari Om Tat Sat. Finprop, you're wondering what language that is. It is a very ancient language known as Sanskrit that I have a deep appreciation for. Thank you, Gina, for your additional heart me as well that you sent. Om Kring Kalikaye Namaha. Thank you, dear King Mikey, for your quartet of 7 roses each. What is that? 28. And plus another 14. Thank you. I see you like the number 7. It's a good number. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Numi, you're wondering, is this my relaxed face or am I smiling for the camera? Perhaps both. Perhaps both. I do feel very relaxed right now. And I look forward to this live stream that we get to share together. Happy Sunday. Thank you for sharing that, Gina. The Beatles nerd, you had shared that you had a frustrating day today. I'm sorry to hear that, but that's definitely allowed. You'd love to have me in the music studio and listen to me speak. Well, that's very kind of you. I don't know if I'll be able to produce music with my voice or any other instrument because I'm not trained in that way. But your offer is very generous. Hare Krishna. Thank you, King Mikey, for your 7 finger hearts, your friendship necklace, and your 7 tiny dinies as well. Yahoo! Is it the same as Proto-Indo-European, asks FinPropTech. No, it is different, but the traditional view is that Sanskrit is intimately tied with Proto-Indo-European. Some people believe that actually it was what we call Proto-Indo-European. But no, linguists would disagree with the traditional view. However, a lot of understanding of Proto-Indo-European comes from Sanskrit, specifically Vedic Sanskrit, which is Sanskrit in reference to the Vedic scriptures, the earliest, almost divine revelations of any tradition that we know of. Thank you, King Mikey, for another 7 tiny dinies still. Yahoo! Isabella, you thought today was Saturday? Oh yeah, that's right. Today is Saturday. But Gina's in the future. Compared to us. She's in the future, but she's in the present moment. You know. Kiki, you're wondering if I meditate before coming up here. No. This is my meditation. This is the time I take to be able to be grounded. Right now, literally, I'm sitting on the soil. But just before, I did spend about half an hour with Tulasi Devi, the wonderful goddess plant, and I was pruning her, pinching off so many flowers. She produced so many flowers today. It was wonderful. Good evening, Lone Wolf. Hello, Ingrid. Hello, Rachel Blackburn. Welcome. Hello, dear Chloe Evans. Joe, you love sitting on soil. I'm happy to hear that. Hi, Vanessa. I'm doing well today. Thank you. How are you doing? Do let me know. Thank you, King Mikey, for your 7 roses. Another 7 tiny dinies. You're very generous. Your 7 give me the votes, and another tiny diny. Yahoo! Thank you, dear Lone Wolf, for your quintet of tiny dinies. We got all the tiny dinies together, and I think it's time that they sing a song. No, that's a copyrighted song. You can't sing that, tiny dinies. Thank you, dear Vanessa, for your heart. Me too. Vanessa, you're good. You spent the day resting. I'm happy to hear that. Mitch, you like laying in the grass. That is great. I agree. Hello, dear Saturnus. Finprop, you had asked if I eat supernatural. You can't imagine me eating junk food. Well, supernatural, that's funny. Yes, I eat ghosts and spirits. I try to eat sattvic, which isn't a diet I perfectly stick to. You know, I love a good cookie. I gotta be honest with you. And And I love veggie burgers, which even though are vegetarian, they're still not super healthy. But yeah, I do try to eat sattvic, which includes foods that don't create an impulse in activity of the mind or a sudden drop. It's a yogic kind of diet. Hello, dear roast beef. I could do ASMR. Well, I do have an ASMR YouTube channel, but it's different than the ASMR you might be familiar with. Yeah, incidentally, a sattvic diet does not include meat, but I know my mother eats meat because it's the only way she's figured out so far. She's able to get her iron levels at a healthy level. She has severe anemia, and as such, she's tried so many different supplements. She's gone to compounding pharmacies to get various treatments, but the one thing that seems to work for her is meat, even though she loves animals, Fortunately, my iron levels, all my levels are good, so I don't feel like I need to. I don't know what that is, Joe. Alas, although I am in the North American continent, I am in Canada, so maybe it's called by a different name, what you're referring to. Thank you, dear Saturnus, for your heart meat, your 37 team bracelets, and a best team, and a pair of cheer-you-ups and a rose. You are very generous. Thank you, my friend. Radhe Radhe. Thank you, King Mikey, for another tiny too. Yow! Hello, G2 Infinity. Thank you, Gina, for your Cloud Bread ice cream cone and a rose as well. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. Ingrid, you were wondering what song this was. Let me look at the last one that was played. I'm afraid I don't know. All of the songs that have played so far have been copyright-free, no royalty music that I got off SoundCloud. And I just renamed them as soon as I downloaded them, so I don't know their original name. But so far, the music that I've played so far is for the root chakra, for the throat chakra, and for the sacral chakra, incidentally. Chakra music. Nice coincidence. Random girl, you share that you feel so tired. How do I raise my energy naturally? I know what it's like to wake up, even after 10 hours of sleep, no matter how long you sleep, and you're still exhausted. Living lighter, and I don't know how to explain it, but living without so much expectations on yourself is the biggest difference for me. It's like waking up with a sense of wonder. You still have responsibilities, but you don't feel burdened by always creating a perfect outcome for yourself. I guess you kind of allow life to be full of ups and downs. And naturally, so much energy becomes generated from that release because so much of that energy was used towards managing our expectations. If we just kind of drop a lot of the attachments we have to particular outcomes for our day, we live lighter in that way. So much energy is freed up. A lot of energy is also spent trying to get something from people, places, or things. Actually, we are the source of energy in life. We are the light of consciousness. We need very little to maintain this body and mind, but we have so much to give. And the more you give without expectation, though counterintuitively, it sounds like the more you'd exhaust yourself, actually the more energy you get to experience because the current is just flowing. You become alert, you become on, you become this vibrancy in your world. If there's a sentiment in any of those things that gets carried across, I hope that reaches you. Thank you, dear Deanna, for your heart me as well. That's very kind of you. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. And hello, Dan Suela. Welcome. Alice Olivia, you had wondered how old I am. In this body, 22. In my DNA, billions of years old. In the atoms, tens of billions of years old. And in my consciousness, just the same as you, eternal. Thank you, dear random girl, for your paper crane. That's very kind of you. I love origami. So one of you was so kind that after I expressed I wanted to learn how to fold a paper crane, you sent me email instructions. And so I learned how to do that thanks to one of you. I'm just amazed with your love. Thank you. Thank you, Woo Woo, for your rose too. Gary White, you're wondering if I've ever pondered the Kalpa and the Yuga cycles. Indeed. It's difficult to know for sure how our calculations can be maintained in the Kali Yuga and exactly what part we are in the cycle. All I know is that not only does the whole world engage in such spiritual cycles, but our own heart does too. And it matters not whether the rest of the world is in the Kali Yuga or any other age. Whether you create the Satya Yuga in your heart, an age of truth, that is our individual responsibility. Kiki, you're wondering when my butter is. When my butter is? That's a great question. Birthday. That makes more sense. You will send a bunch of presents on here? Oh, I don't want you to do that for me. It's okay. I just love your presence. Your presence is the most presents I could get. The greatest gift. Being present is the greatest present. Thank you, dear jeweled alligator, for your friendship necklace as well. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Kiani, you shared that you just drove 120 kilometers with your bike. Wow. That's a lot of kilometers. Maybe, or did you mean kilometers per hour? Is that the speed that you reached? That's a high speed too. Either way, very impressive. Ingrid, you need a 10-hour long ASMR of me saying your name. Well, I appreciate that you feel validated when I call you by your name. I hope you feel validated in other ways, just being here too. Gary White, you shared that you've often thought that the clock time of the Kalpas are the sum of all consciousnesses. I love that so much. That's a great insight. I see the truth in that. Thank you, dear. What is it called? A magic orb, sparkles, and painting nail emoji for your heart me and your quartet of cloud breads. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you, dear Shakira, for your heart me as well. Radhe Radhe. Finn Praptek, you're wondering, why did I become interested in Sanskrit? Well, it opens the doors to such a huge body of ancient literature. It's like a portal that connects you with the ancient ones. Literally, Sanskrit contains the largest body of philosophical, spiritual, and scientific literature on the planet, stemming from like 5,000 years ago to the present day. And wow, why wouldn't you want access to that, assuming you're interested in that sort of thing? So it's a natural consequence for me. Kimberly, you're having some connection issues, but you're out delivering packages, so it could be Wi-Fi. Very well could be. Well, I hope these words come through to you at least, and that you have a beautiful day, as you are a beautiful being. But welcome, dear Shakira. Well, Such a wonderful introduction we've had to the Sangha so far. I'd like to make a brief interim by asking you all my question of the day. I hope you don't mind. Today I'm wondering about a wondering. I'm inquiring about an inquiry. My question is about a question. I'm asking for an asking. What is the most fruitful question? What question, upon being asked, leads to the biggest endeavor? What gives rise to the most profundity? What inquiry is the most important to ask? Purpose of life? I like that, Finn Prop. That's a classic one. An oldie and a goodie. Why? Shares Don Suela. That's great. And no PPL, I don't have a lot of accounts, just one. But there are people who impersonate me and ask for money and for various services, so be careful. I would never ask for money. Everything I do is for free. The right one, shares Anna, the right question. Well, I can't disagree with that, I suppose. What is the true nature of the self? Oh, you are so right, Candy Cake. Is there a God? Another excellent question, Finprop. Gets us in touch with our source, our purpose, what it means to have one. Why feel this? I like that, Mr. Calm. Jeweled Alligator, you provide, who am I? Who are you? Are you nobody too? I love that. G to Infinity, you share, should I or shouldn't I? Should have, could have, would have. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. As they say. Stephen, you provide the classic. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Or cat's liquid. Oh, it's a great scientific endeavor. Perhaps a non-Newtonian fluid. This one is hard, asked Shakira. It's very meta, isn't it? Oh, I love that, Ingrid. When will you finally believe that you deserve to be happy? Diana, you ask, what is my connection to all of creation? I love yourself, you ask, toward what have I turned my face? That's very humble. Random girl, you ask, is there an outside? Finn PropTech, you ask the question, why did you remove your old videos, by the way? This is a very fruitful question, isn't it? No, I know you're just asking me. I will answer you. If you look in my bio, there's a link tree that leads to a frequently asked questions document. I trust that all the answers you may be looking for are there, and if not, you're welcome to follow up with me. Donsuela, you think cats are made of oobleck. I agree with that. Why do I love this? That's a great question, Gina. Fruit? With a question mark at the end? Seems pretty full of fruit. Okay, Vera, you are funny. I grant you that. MJ, you're wondering what my answer to the question is. I'll tell you at the end. But thank you for asking. Who am I? Asks Olski. Beautiful. Atma Vicharya. Self-inquiry. I love these answers too, Vanessa. Oh, I'm so honored. Kiki, your best question is, what is covered up throughout the history that keeps us from the truth? I like that. Looking in places where you might not know. How can I help you? Oh, that's such a beautiful question, Katie. I love that. Thank you, Dylan. I think we all are so unique. Why are we here? asks Crown City Cards. Shar, you ask, do our spirits live on forever? I like that question too. Ingrid, I like your methodology with these answers. Why aren't you as kind to yourself as you are to others? Why do I believe what I believe? That's another great one. Is it worth it? Asked Shakira. We can always ask that one. Would like me to tell you about the 20th dimensional monster? A board student? Oh, add some zeros. 200,000th dimensional monster. Is mayonnaise an instrument? That's a good one, Susan. Stella, you'd like me to define fruitful? Well, when we say that a plant produces fruits, it means that it takes its resources and creates something sweet that then propagates that seed to grow even more. So when we say that a question is fruitful, we mean in a similar way that it takes the experience of our life as a resource, cultivates a kind of sweetness from it, and from that it propagates further to grow in other ways too. By analogy. A board student, your question to yourself would be, how do you be the best husband and father possible? I love that answer. Ragnahildur, you share, what is my purpose in this life? And Grateful Human, you share, how is everything perfect right now? I like that a lot. Hello, Agent X. And thank you, dear Laura, for your rose as well. Om Namah Shakti Shabaya. MJ, you notice there's the separation between philosophical questions and personal questions. Hard to decide. Well, you're welcome to give multiple answers. Or perhaps you could turn that into an answer. How do we balance philosophical inquiry with personal, practical inquiry? You've seen the growth from my time in 2021 PPL to now. Well, I'm happy that you've stuck with me for so long. Eli and Justin, you asked the question, why is there something rather than nothing? And Peridot, you ask, how can one become a good person when being good is relative? I like that. That's a profound one too. Ray, you're wondering what my birthday is. What's it to ya? No, my birthday is the 1st of October 2001. I dove into the wild today. Oh, I'm in a bush a little bit. Yes. Oski, you ask, what seed shell must I drop in order to continue to grow outward, spiraling? Wow, that's a very fruitful question. I like that. Nice to see you again, Alfie. So welcome, my friends. Hello, Mumble, as well. Alright, I'm going to pause our inquiry into this inquiry. But I thank you all. You're welcome to continue meditating on this question. What is my answer to the question of the day? It is my question of the day. I was wondering if anyone was going to say it. I think the most important question we can ask is to ask itself, what is the most important question? To go forth in search of the greatest quest, to find what it is that you want to look for. So my question today answered itself, in my opinion. But I love your addition, MJ. Do fleeting feelings like happiness and sadness matter, or should we be chasing something more? I love that. That's very kind of you. I love yourself. And I love that show. Oh, Aang. He's a great character, isn't he? It's a very well-written show. Well, I would love for you all to sit with me as we read another section from this book together, since I like to start my lives with a question of the day and then a short reading. And if any of the questions that you asked in the question of the day are something you'd like to explore together, we can explore it afterwards as well. Just put a pin in it for now. We're going through the chakras one by one, and even if you're not well versed on what a chakra really is, or maybe cautious of the subject, this book is written by a great yogi who gives us the facts as it is. I think you'll all appreciate this reading, no matter what part of life you come from. So we're continuing our inquiry into the Svadhisthana Chakra, which is the sacral chakra. Where did we leave off? Let's see. It is important that we do not lie to ourselves or be afraid, and we should neither condemn ourselves nor project the blame onto others. Our inner world is divided. We have a quote-unquote light side and a quote-unquote dark side. It is only when we take this dual reality into consideration and also accept our weaknesses that we are able to work on it. Until we are able to accept ourselves, we can perhaps give good advice to others, but cannot develop further ourselves. When we can simply observe the waves of emotion and unwaveringly fix our mind on our mantra, our sacred sentence given by a master, they will finally vanish. The mantra clears and quietens the mind and will certainly lead us out of the maze of our emotions and tendencies and into the light of truth. Anger, hatred, greed, jealousy, violence, cruelty, passion, arrogance, self-doubt, and lethargy are the enemies that we encounter in the Svadhisthana Chakra. They make life for us and our environment very difficult, as we know from many examples in history, and also in recent times. People are often blinded by these qualities and commit inhumane actions. The purification of these tendencies needs lifelong vigilance and constant effort. Discipline and wisdom, known in Sanskrit as jnana, which is ultimately where we get words like gnosis from Gnosticism and knowledge in English. At one point, the K was pronounced indeed. Discipline and wisdom, jnana, are the tools with which we are able to keep them in check. However, these tendencies will not be shed completely until the end of our life, because, as a part of nature, they serve to preserve our physical existence. Harmful effects only develop when they are connected to a selfish ego and deployed thoughtlessly for the pursuit of selfish goals. When we become conscious of these tendencies and understand their meaning and function, we are able to control these quote-unquote enemies, transform their energy, and utilize them for our development. Anger, hate, and greed are negative expressions of our ego. The ego itself is not bad. Its positive aspect is the will to live, and we cannot exist without the ego, because without the will to live we cannot exist without the ego, but because without the will to live and zest for life, nobody can exist. I love that zest. That caught me off guard. The ego is only harmful when it degenerates into self-interest and exploitation of others. In India, anger is known as a twofold curse, as it not only sucks the lifeblood of others, but also our own. When we are overcome by rage, blood cells within our body become dismantled piece by piece. This aggressive emotion darkens our entire phenomenon, which is a field of energy, you could say, and deprives us of spiritual energy. Closely connected to the expression of anger are greed and hate. When one of these qualities becomes active, the other two are also roused, and jointly they ravage the quote-unquote inner field of that person. The immense power of this emotional arousal also has a positive potential. When we succeed in controlling this explosive energy, we can transform it into constructive, courageous, and brave actions. The mastery of anger also brings considerable progress in attaining discipline and control over other negative emotions. We can cool down and extinguish outbursts of anger and hatred when we mentally put ourselves in the position of the person to whom our displeasure is directed and try to understand their reasoning. What we are able to understand, we can also more easily forgive. Through empathy, consideration, and tolerance, our hostile feelings will finally calm down. Jealousy means that we are dependent upon a possession and think that something or someone belongs to us. We imagine that our whole world would collapse if we were unable to obtain what we have set our heart upon, or if we lost it. We behave like a small child who fights with other children over a toy, and even if they get it, they are not really content. Problems always arise when we think egotistically and want to possess something completely and hold on to it tightly. When we feel flickers of jealousy stirring within us, we should endeavor to be independent and generous, because inner freedom is the best antidote to combat this frame of mind. Also, we only feel jealous when we are in love. Without love, there is no jealousy. Jealousy disappears when the feeling of love is pure, selfless, and supportive and beneficial for others, however. Many people suffer lifelong from the concept that they have not found quote-unquote true love, meaning a life partner who will balance out their personal deficits and fulfill their desires. However, what we actually need, and alone brings contentment and fulfills the desire of our soul, is true divine love. And this consists simply of giving, merely giving. Once we overcome jealousy, we gain freedom and develop our ability to give and to accept all-embracing love. And with that lovely passage, let's pause our reading of The Hidden Power in Humans there for now. So thank you for listening. And thank you, dear Usha Bai, for sending this again from your lovely spiritual master, Vishwa Guruji. I am so honored to get to hear his words of wisdom. I hope you all enjoyed this reading as much as I did. And now we can open the floor to discuss whatever it is in your hearts and mind. Please be my guest. And thank you, dear Brandon, for the trio of hand hearts you sent while we were reading. There's some for you. And your 15 roses as well. Hari Om Tat Sat. Starlight Wow, thank you for your tiny. Yippee! And Badarmal, thank you for your trio of roses. Radhe Radhe. Hello, Logan. I don't think we've met before. How are you? Where are you from? You ask, is ignoring things negative, since it can be disregarding someone trying to communicate with me? Well, if you are wanting me to read your messages, my apologies for reading something else while you are speaking. Now that I have a moment to listen to you, I would be delighted to. Allow me to scroll up to share to see the addition to the conversation that you share. Sounds like you've had a lot of experience in these matters, and I'm grateful that you feel so passionately about these things that you get to share these with us. You share that negative and positive is subjective and context is required, that you don't believe anger is negative or inherently bad, that every emotion has purpose, that all the stuff I'm reading from is a perspective that craves peace and is poor at being calm in chaotic situations. Perhaps can't see the ends justify the means with anger in certain situations. While all of these things you share is undeniably true from within your perspective, you share you're feeling good from Manitoba in Canada, while I am also from Canada, except I am on the West Coast. All of these things you share, I see the truth in definitely. And from the book I'm reading from, this was a gift from one of our Sangis, one of our participants, and I very much have respect for the yogic tradition from which it's from. And I am sure that the author Paramahans, Swami Maheshwarananda, has certainly seen some chaotic situations, and I imagine he is quite good at being calm, but I agree that it's easy to speak of these things, it's easy to wish for peace, but it's a whole other reality to maintain that peace when hectic or chaotic circumstances arise. But welcome, my friend, your perspectives are always allowed to be shared here. I hope some part of the Sangha is able to teach you something that you may not already know, and I hope that you are able to teach us things that we might not already know. Now you've got this. You asked the question, when is loneliness healthy? Loneliness when it becomes solitude, a place where you are no longer needing anything from somebody else, and in that spaciousness of that moment you can discover more about yourself. Then I believe it becomes very healthy. And thank you, Gully Bubble, for your pair of roses too. Radhe or Radhe. Hello, dear ancient poet. I think you may be new here. I see from your bio that you like music, hippie, being interested in Tantra and ancient Egyptian mysticism. I think that's wonderful, and I hope you find a space to express that here. You raise some concerns of whether or not I respond only if someone gifts me, and as I am responding to you now, I hope to affirm to you that I will always react just as equally to everyone who inquires sincerely. The gifts are not something that are required for any service, though I do wish to be cautious and warn you that there are impersonators of the Yamsox identity, whatever that means, who are going around offering spiritual services only for the sake of money. And I hope you know that these accounts are not mine, and I haven't given authorization for that, because nothing I do ever costs anything. You can be here every day and ask me questions, and I will always respond to you when I have a moment. And it is never expected to get anything in return. I hope you feel affirmed in that. Thank you, dear Saturnus, for the rose you sent as well. Radhe or Radhe. And Pivotal Intent, thank you for the rose. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. And thank you, dear Starlight Wow, for your tiny and your trio of balloons. Hare Krishna. It's true, Shakira, I used to have a banner that went up warning, but every few days TikTok for some reason resets my streaming setup. So it's become very annoying on my part to have to re-put that up every time. But anytime I get a chance to warn people about potential scammers, please let me know, because I do want to make sure you guys are safe on the interwebs. Ingrid, you share, but you already paid for the private dance. Oh, you are funny. I I don't have any services, and especially not intimate ones like that, since my primary goal is not for the pleasures of anyone here, but for the elimination of suffering and for the spiritual growth in all of our shared presence. The leaves are tickling my face a little bit. You are right, Wesley. G to infinity. We need a post with Shadow when he is available. Aww. Yes, I have been putting Sandy in my videos, but we need some Shadow too. Shadow time. Kiki, you share that your son is also half Indian, and he likes listening to my stream with me. Oh, that's beautiful. Well, I'm very honored to be able to be immersed in the spirituality that has come from the Himalayas, ancient India. I think that is a gift to the whole world, and we all can benefit from learning from it. And to know that somewhere along the ancestral line, your son is connected to that also is a great gift. And I'm honored to be able to have a soul like his listening from time to time. PPL, you got excited for my follow until today, yes. I am sorry. If anyone follows you or messages you, it's from me, it's not me. You know, I'm coy like that. I never send the first message. But that's a safety thing for you, since you know that the real me, whatever that means, is not someone who is looking for anything from you like that. I am here to use my resources to support you, not the other way around. I am your servant. I hope you think of me like this. Starlight, wow, we're wondering, what is the spiritual meaning of autism? That's a very interesting question. I do think that we can relate all things back to spirituality. Of course, first acknowledging all of the scientific research that's done into the neurology of autism and the psychology and the psychiatry. That's all wonderful too. I think the spiritual perspective just complements all that. And I find that there's a lot of traits in the neurodivergent, not just people with autism, but ADHD, even BPD or bipolar. There are so many different traits of the neurodivergent that remind me of spiritual qualities, of renunciants, of yogis, of people who were committed to the spiritual path, maybe in ancient times. You'll read about the Brahmins, the priestly caste of Indian society, and they had all these injunctions about how people could look at them, how the food on their plate could be arranged and what temperature it could be, because they were so sensitive. They were the sensitive class of people, and so society was structured to accommodate their sensitivity. I think in the same way, people who are neurodivergent, they're just really sensitive to subtle aspects of life, like tone, like sight, like color, like brightness, like sound, like pitch, like volume, like temperature, like texture, and the intentions behind people's actions as they speak to them, as they relate with them, as they do things for them. For the neurotypical, we might not be sensitive to things like that, but it's a whole level of reality that's so real, so intense for these individuals. In many ways, I think that's a spiritual experience, because you're in touch with a whole other level of information, very subtle forms of information that's being shared. And I think, much like ancient societies, it would do us good to structure our society around them, where we accommodate their sensitivities and actually uplift them, embrace them, rather than trying to dull them or isolate them, because they get us in touch with what it means to be so authentically human, such a genuine witness and experiencer of human life. And I think I love that. I think there's many spiritual lessons that we can learn from these people. So I have only good thoughts about them. I hope that answers your question. Starlight, wow, thank you for your tiny, and the balloons that you share as well. And a pair of fires. Hari Om Tat Sat. Many of you can relate with that. Hello, dear Gregarji. Good thoughts you are. I like that. And MJ, you were wondering if I've related with Hinduism or Buddhism more. I'm always interested in the roots. Like when I went to university, I first went into with a passion, with the intention of studying astrophysics. And then it slowly dawned on me that all of the higher order structures, like galaxy formation, cosmic filaments, planetary nebulas, stellar nebulas, stars, that's all a phenomenon that's based on something much smaller. And it's the subtle interactions of what's smaller that give rise to all this complexity. So eventually my interests would shift from astrophysics to quantum physics. In theory, you could explain all of you could explain all of astrophysics just by paying close enough attention to the quantum world. And then the same kind of thing happened from quantum mechanics to mathematics, that all formulations, past, present, and future of quantum mechanics would be done within mathematics. So mathematics was subtler to me, and it held the answers. Same thing with math and logic, that if you just dive deep into set theory and first order logic, then that would explain all mathematical phenomenon. And you keep going deeper like this, eventually you come to a common source. And it's that common source that I'm first and foremost interested. In a similar way, when it comes to all of the world's traditions, I find that they also can be reduced and reduced back and back, just like how you could say that Islam is a relatively modern addition to the Abrahamic tradition, and Christianity is a less modern, but still an addition to the First Testament, and you could even go deeper there and go back into the early forms of religion there. So too, the dharmic religions have a common ancestor. From Sikhism and Jainism and Buddhism and Hinduism, they all go back to a source that we call the Vedika or the Sanatana Dharma. And that is what I'm primarily interested, because to me that feels like the origin of faith and spirituality on earth, this mystical sort of philosophical, scientific, spiritual origin called the Sanatana Dharma, from which various traditions like Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Sikhism have arisen, relatively in that order. Hinduism just happens to me the most ancient branch of that, and it's, in my opinion, the most direct lineage that stemmed from the Sanatana Dharma. But that's not to say I have more of an appreciation for Hinduism than I do for Buddhism or other dharmic religions. I just find the easiest way into the Sanatana Dharma through Hinduism. But the same can be done through any other branch of the same tree. You can get to the same roots, can't you? It's like how Proto-Indo-European is a hypothetical ancestral language for so many. Yet we can't study it directly since no one speaks it. But people still speak Sanskrit, and Sanskrit is the most ancient and direct ancestor. The opposite of an ancestor, a child, I guess. From Proto-Indo-European. So linguists study Sanskrit to get a better understanding of Proto-Indo-European. That was a bit of a longer answer, but I hope that makes sense. I saw you had added some comments on the discussion of quantum physics. You shared that you'd also love to study quantum physics, but you're concerned about if there's enough pay behind it. It's important if you have dependents, if you have a family, the generation of wealth, taking care of them, very important. But if it comes to your passions, I would hope that that money is not a factor in just what it is you want to learn, because I think the greatest things, the greatest pieces of knowledge don't lead to lots of money. The more we become learned, I think the less money becomes a big influence in our life anyway. Thank you, dear Anna, for the rose you share as well. Om Namah Shivaya. A successor. That's a great word I could have used, Gregorji. A predecessor and a successor. Room to breathe. You're wondering how long I'll be on this live. Well, probably another hour or so. And hello, Tiffy. You came in when there was 111 people. A beautiful number. Gregorji, you add that Baha'i is an even newer Abrahamic faith, and they believe they have had prophecy revelation. I love that. I am sure that the truth of their experience is a wonderful addition to the global discussion of faith. Muffins, you're wondering if I've met our current avatar. I think at any given time there is an avatar. There is a descension of the Holy Spirit here on earth. Sometimes I experience it through my mother. Sometimes I experience it through all of you. Sometimes I experience it in dream. Sometimes I experience it looking at a flower. In that way I can say yes. And hello, dear Kirby B. If I'm pronouncing your name right. I'm happy that you find calming energy here. Hybrid Jen, you share that your heart goes so fast you feel like you're floating. Having an awareness of our heartbeat can be a blessing. It can also lead to anxiety if we question whether it's normal or not. The breath is intimately tied with our heartbeat. When we want our heart to beat faster, we take more shallow, rapid breaths. It's good for working out. And when we want to activate our parasympathetic nervous system, relax, rest, and digest, we take nice, deep breaths. That can reduce the strain on our heart as well. MJ, you shared that you're going into paleobotany, which you love, and there is good pay. Quantum physics would have been great. I am sure that you are on a path that is meant for you. And I love that for you. You'll have to tell me about paleobotany. I assume that means studying the evolution of plants from long ago to today. Oh, there's a little lizard who's climbing in front of me. Just a baby lizard. I love that woo-woo. You add that money distorts all values and measures everything in the form of exchange value. A tree is zero value. It is priceless. I remember, I think my mother said that I was priceless, and I started crying. I said, that means I'm not worth anything. She said, no, it means you're worth more than what money can buy. It means you're not for sale. So I'm happy you like my set. And nature is so good at putting herself together in a way that just makes sense. I mean, hey, you never walk into a forest and you go, you know what would be better? If that tree over there was a little more to the left, I think then that would be perfect. Actually, the most beautiful thing about nature is that any part of it looks good next to any other part of it. A mountain next to a river, beautiful. A tree next to that bush, beautiful. A tree next to that bush, but the bush is on the other side this time, beautiful. Elevation sloped like this, then like that, beautiful. You know, there's no rules for how nature is supposed to look in order for it to be beautiful. It can mix and match, it just all looks good together. And you are a part of that nature too. So why should we think that if a tree looks good, no matter what directions its branches are growing, no matter the color of leaves or how many points are on each one, why should we feel like your eye has to be more like this in order for you to be beautiful, or that your chest has to be symmetric, or that your arms have to be the same length, or that the color of your skin should be a different way? Just as Mother Nature looks beautiful no matter how she's arranged, you, as a part of Mother Nature, are just the same. Thank you, Peter, for your rose a few minutes ago. Radhe Radhe. And thank you, Hybrid Jen, for your disco love. Om Kring Kalikaye Namaha. Thank you, Hrsi, for your heart me, your team bracelet, your bestie, man, to cheer you up. A pair of friendship necklaces, balloons, an ice cream cone, a cloud bread, and a rose. It's very humbling. Thank you, my friend. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. MJ, your follow-up asks, is it then incorrect to try to make yourself look better? If you want to further the expression of yourself, you are always allowed to add. If you feel like you have to, it's that necessity that is incorrect. You don't have to, but it can increase the ability in which you are able to express certain features of your infinite being that cannot be seen directly through physical means alone. Good question. Thank you, dear Alfie, for the heart me you have sent as well. Om Namah Shivaya. Claudia Sal, you're wondering, what is an algorithm? Well, an algorithm isn't something you can touch, something you can see. An algorithm is a procedure. It's a process that has been devised such that it produces certain standard results. And if that sounds vague, it's because it's general. Algorithms exist in the way that train systems run, in the way that public transit is arranged. Computers used algorithms for the computation of programs and software. We use algorithms to design favorable engineering. We use algorithms even when we're talking to a person, whether we start with small talk and then move on once the person seems interested to something more intimate. People use social algorithms to better relate with other people. We use algorithms in how we portray information to people. It's a really universal concept. Algorithm is a way of creating some canonical result. But I guess to have that make sense, we'd have to describe what a canonical result is. This is a good question. I'm struggling. I'm challenging with it. I am challenging, but this is challenging me. I think an example of an algorithm of everyday life is our routine. As we grow up, we begin to learn what sort of day is conducive to our happiness. And so we create a sort of algorithm, a sort of procedure in which we live our day. We start with an intention. Maybe that means a prayer. We get out of bed with a spring in our step and we brush our teeth. If we're feeling this way, then we do that. If we're feeling another way, then we do this instead. Depending on how we're feeling at different parts of our day, we have a program of sorts that we can run to make ourselves feel better. An algorithm is a set of structured decisions we can make to produce expected results. That's my best attempt at defining the word algorithm without looking at a dictionary. G to infinity, you just read the word canonical on my math website. It's one of my favorite words. I wish I could better convey its meaning in a more accessible way. Thank you, dear Kiki, for the rose you sent a few minutes ago. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you, Alfie, for your tiny. Yippee! The letter P you share, it's a system that is predetermined by a set of rules. I like that. Yeah. That's a good explanation. Thank you, dear Badarmal, for your half a dozen of tiny dinies as well. Yahoo! And Silent Storm, thank you for your heart me. Om Nama Shakti Shivaya. Hybrid Jen, you shared that you wrote a poem last night and you're looking forward to sharing it with us all when that poem day happens. Oh, I love to hear that. Yes, and that reminds me, in the link tree in my bio, there is a show and tell application form where you can upload maybe a creative project that you're doing, if it's a video or an image or a PDF, and I look forward to sharing it. I think someone did already fill out the form, which reminds me, I just have to download the video they sent. I can do that while we continue with this live stream, and I'll show it at the end once it's downloaded. But I'm so grateful that I have a space where I get to share so much. But of course, I would love for you to have a place in this Sangha to be able to share, more than just text, more than just your words. So that form is there in the link tree in my bio. So I very much look forward to hearing your poem. And thank you, dear Silent Storm, for the cloud bread you sent too. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hello, dear Anazak. Penelope, you shared that today you listened to a friend tell you of some recent sad news they received, and you are so sad. And it's beautiful that as a friend, you were able to listen to them. You were able to carry some of their emotions for them so they don't have to carry it all themselves. I think that's all you can do in such a situation. And just as you allowed them some space for their feelings, you can allow yourself some space to hold that feeling within yourself as well. I would love to make it absolutely clear to the whole universe that you are allowed to feel sadness. Sadness is such a beautiful feeling. Sometimes it may feel unbearable, but I feel that's true when it comes with the pressure to feel any way else, like you're not supposed to be feeling this. that you should be feeling happy because then you're fulfilling your highest potential. But even in sadness, is there a great potential? There is so much raw experience there. So many lessons we can learn, even if it's just as simple as allowing ourselves some preciousness. Being reminded of the preciousness of life, thus we don't take it for granted again. Hello there, Jill. Nice to see you here. Some people don't believe that I'm real. This could be a construct of artificial intelligence. Well, I take that as a compliment, that my words are beyond what you'd expect from a human being. I'm in my mother's backyard and I can show you around. There's some wonderful flowers over here, and there's a catio that I built for my kittens. And behind you all is Tulasi Devi. You can see the mantra I've written around her pot. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. There's a beautiful succulence above her. And what a clear sky today, not a cloud in the sky. Some other flowers over there. A big, huge bush that's like, 20 feet high or more. So, nowadays AI is getting so good that questions like this are surfacing. And I don't blame you for that. But I hope to connect with you. In a very real way. Even if it's virtual. Thank you, Jill, for the finger heart that you sent a minute ago. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Anazek, thank you for your quartet of roses. Om Kring Kalikai Namaha. Anna, you shared that you have bush phobia. Is that a real thing? I imagine it's a real thing. Okay. Seems like Jessica's just trying to get a reaction. Well, you got one. You win this round. Alright. I concede. Young Chuck, you're wondering, what kind of plant am I sitting in? Well, it's a very big bush. I don't know the name of it, but my mother probably would. And it flowers in the spring. But now that we're nearing the end of summer, there are no longer many flowers. Alas, there's a beautiful garden near my house on my Instagram story that I posted the flowers that are still in blossom there. I think you'll very much enjoy the sea of red flowers that are still there. Fortunately, there are no nettles in this bush. But that'd be pretty funny if there were. Thank you, dear Babblefishy, for the balloons you sent as well. Hare Rama. I am Daniel. You're wondering, why do I do the accent? This is how I speak. In earlier videos, I was masking, or I'd purposely lower my voice and talk like this, so that I could entice people into a sense of masculinity. I was more insecure of the way I spoke then, but since then I've learned to just embrace that, naturally my voice is kind of feminine. And because of speech impediments when I was younger, I've worked really hard on trying to have clear diction and enunciation and pronunciation as well. So, to me there is no accent, but it seems to be like there is one for many. I think I just speak in a unique way that people aren't used to. Thank you, dear Babblefishy, for the subscription. I'm so happy to have you on this journey together, the spiritual one. Much love to you. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hybrid Jen. You had speech therapy when you were a kid too. You were mute for a long time. That's very interesting. I've known other children who are like that. My kind of speech problems were just pronunciation. I just kind of, I guess, mumble or stutter a little bit. But it's wonderful that you found your voice, in a sense. I think that's beautiful. I'm happy you like my hat, Travis. And it is true, Sam Jones, we all have male and female characteristics. Masculinity and femininity is no black and white duality. We are all part of Mother Nature. She lives on through every cell in our body. And we all have that source of divinity within. Holy Father as the light of our light, the mind of our mind, the eye of the eye, the ear of the ear. Marcus Jazz, you think it's a trumpet vine I'm under. Interesting. A trumpet vine. Well, it is very viney. I'll tell you that for free. No, I don't know if you heard that. My cat Sandy just meowed at me. Thank you, dear Penelope, for the rose you sent as well. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Hybrid Jen, thank you for the love painting. Hare Krishna. Stephen, you shared this is a great topic. You grew up with a bad stammer and try anything to get around that. So hard. Our voice is so precious to us. I feel like our ability to convey ourselves to others has of course a lot to do with trauma. That perhaps at some point we feel like expressing ourselves was something that we weren't supposed to do, that we were wrong in some sense. And healing from that is such a vital part of exercising all of the organs we have available to connect with life. We have, of course, the 5 Gyanendriyas, it's called in Sanskrit, the organs of perception. Sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. But we also have the Karmendriyas, the 5 corresponding organs of activity, like our speech. That's just as important as any other. A kind of trust that even if you use the wrong word, you'll be able to creatively find a way to use it. That was one of the biggest influences on my journey to speaking in a way that I guess I could feel confident in. That just let the words come out. No need to put emphasis on a particular way of speaking. No need to find the right word. Let all the words that make sense to you come up, and the English language is loose enough that we can accommodate any word that arises. Our subject, verb, object order is flexible. Our ability to use adjectives as also nouns. Our ability to turn verbs into nouns as well, in nominal forms. You'd be surprised just how flexible the English language is. Even if you say a word that makes no sense relative to where you are in a sentence, there's a way in grammatically making that sentence a genuine expression of what you are trying to convey. Having that trust in the flexibility of language is a big thing. Petra, you're wondering, do I like ASMR? I do listen to it from time to time to fall asleep. It's very helpful to me. I love yourself. You're wondering how to heal if you are attacked for the rest of your life. I'm not sure what you mean by this. If you mean that you're in any way forced to be with a source of abuse, then that's not something you have to sit through. Please separate yourself from sources of suffering. There's no need to put yourself through unnecessary harm in that way. If you mean that there was a pain that you're still healing from, then it's okay if it takes a whole lifetime to heal, you're still the fullest version of yourself, even while healing. Healing doesn't mean that there will be a time where finally you're able to experience life fully again. Even the experience of healing is a beautiful part of life that I encourage you to participate in fully. And thank you, dear Hybrid Jen, for the disco love. Your gifts are very kind, genuine. Hari Om Tat Sat. Strung by Stacy, you're wondering what my thoughts are on satire and or sarcastic speech. It's not something I find necessary, personally. I find that there are so many people that don't understand satire, sarcasm, and I would like to accommodate that. Oftentimes, I have also felt misunderstood when someone engages in satire or sarcasm. So I find that, if we think about the purpose of words, which is to communicate, and ideally for the purpose of sharing love and wisdom and inspiration, then these kinds of connotations, they more often than not just take away from the presence of beauty rather than add to it in some sense. So I find them to be unnecessary in speech. So I don't participate in these tones myself. When I was younger, absolutely, but at the same time when I was younger, I found racism funny. I found sexism funny. I found lots of things that are actually exclusive to a certain category of people funny. As I get older, I find that my sense of comedy no longer relies on misdirection or on saying things how they aren't, or by pointing out something in someone that they can't control. I know that some people use sarcasm and other things as a way to self-deprecate. It could almost be self-harm to joke about the things that you're struggling with. But they use that as a form of gaining power again. They say various things to joke, make a comedy about their life, and that's part of the healing journey that some people are on. And if you're on that part of the healing journey where you find parts of your challenges funny, I think that's great. It's good to not have such an air of seriousness. But you'll never hear a Buddhist monk speaking sarcastically. And I think there's a reason for that. That peacefulness eventually requires us to let go of some of the things that we used to deem necessary for fitting in with society. But now we are so free in our own being that we don't need to connect at these levels anymore. We're already vibrating at such a state that just the discourse of what is good and peaceful becomes the highest form of entertainment there is that life can provide. Thank you, dear Michael, for your heart, me and rose. Radhe, Radhe. And Kayara, thank you for your rose. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you, Ragnhildur, for your trio of roses as well. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. Oscar, you share, if you're British, you connect by ripping into each other or laughing at our absurd aspects. I think laughing at our absurd aspects is one thing, but making a comedy about another person's misfortune, this is something that I think one day we can move past as a society in the evolution of consciousness. If your version of comedy is to point out someone suffering, there's a long way to go. It's easy to make connections when we include someone by excluding someone else. That we bridge the gap between you and I by increasing the space between us and them. But in my opinion, true forms of connection are never at the sacrifice of anyone else's status, anyone else's gender, class, circumstance, nor their abilities or disabilities. I think the funniest things in life are always uplifting. They speak to our higher purpose and the absurdity of life as a whole. Strung by Stacy, you share that your Irish family feels if you aren't teasing each other, you aren't getting along. I know that. My grandmother, who's Irish, is like that too. But if our idea of culture is that we're mean to each other, what sort of example are we setting? I would not wish any nation to be known as people who are unkind to each other. I would like any identity to be known for the goodness that they provide for others, how helpful they are, how understanding. This is my goal for our society. There is the Buddha behind me in a statue, in a beautiful bowl for fishies. Not fishies, for birdies. But you could put fishies in there, though they wouldn't have much room. And it's very common for an oppressed culture to take power back through their banter, their satire, their sarcasm. It's one way to heal from that trauma that is experienced, maybe not in your generation, but generations above. When we no longer take our faults, which have been demonized, or even strengths that have been demonized so seriously, then we can allow ourselves to be vulnerable. And I hope the day comes where these cultures heal from those wounds, as I know that's a possibility for them. Chihiro, you share that you feel so validated because you don't enjoy being teased, even for fun. I think it's a very low vibration kind of humor. It is a kind of humor, but a kind that sacrifices a part of your well-being for the joy of others around you. Higher vibrations of comedy don't require this kind of sacrifice to be made. No compromise necessary. Now we can joke about ourselves. That's one thing. There's a reason why humor and humility share the same root. Joking about ourselves is absolutely something we can do. But when others laugh at us for the sake of our own faults, then it does not feel so good. How can that be uplifting? Let us look for the good in others and leave fault-finding to ourselves. Thank you, dear Hybrid Jen, for your paper crane too. Hari Om Tat Sat. Joshua, thank you for your trio of finger hearts. Om Kring Kalikaye Namaha. And Gina, thank you for your pair of roses. Om Shrim Hanumate Namaha. And that is something we have to be mindful of, Rit. That if we are joking about ourselves and someone else laugh, they may be laughing at us too. So it is safest to laugh at ourselves in the privacy of our own company alone. And if we are laughing with someone, we have to be clear that we're laughing with their sense of humor and not because we find what they're going through funny itself. Thank you, dear Alfie, for the W you sent as well. Radhe or Radhe. Kaba Inc., you're wondering, what do I think about numerology? You also asked what I know about Organite. I am not familiar with these things. We shan't make jokes at someone's expense. Well said, Mari. Oski, you shared that you think it can be a way to navigate complex social dynamics and face uncomfortable truths. That's true. However, it's not our duty to bring people to face uncomfortable truths. That is our own duty for ourselves to face uncomfortable truths. That's where humility comes in. But our goal is not to give others uncomfortable truths, only to uplift and support them in their journey. All the faults they have to work on is theirs. We can share how we feel about their faults because that's something we have to work on. Thank you, dear Gabriella, for your heart me, your finger heart, and your rose too. Radhe or Radhe. And Joshua, thank you for your trio of applauses. Here's some applause for you too. Josan, you are here. I'm glad you are here. I wanted to share your song at the end of today's Sangha, since I saw that you filled out the show and tell application form. And I'm very excited to show your song that you made. I think it's beautiful. Actually, let me set that up right now before I forget. You might see it pop up on the screen for a second. Oh, I don't know if you can hear that. I didn't mean to play it. There. Actually, I gotta open it to maximize it in a little bit. This is a sneak preview. First few seconds. Okay. Hello, dear Tracy. Thank you, Hybrid Jen, for your rose. Sandy is in a close catio. He be meowing. Badarmal, you do laugh at people online. You're not so advanced yet. Sometimes people are publicly entertaining. And it's wonderful that you have such a self-awareness to recognize that. That'll take you a long way, most definitely. Alfie, you share, when you mess up or anything like that, you laugh at yourself. Helps elevate the situation. I love that, yes. It's helpful not to take ourselves so seriously. But yes, it does depend on someone's sensitivity or the ability to not take things to heart. And as we progress on the spiritual path, we become more sensitive ourselves to these things, and we start taking more and more things to heart. The spiritual path is about opening one's heart and becoming sensitive to all the subtle ways in which violence and oppression is in our culture, in our society. And we don't even realize it because we feel like it's just part of our culture, our society. So it's best to assume that people are sensitive and will take it to heart. Otherwise, you never know what kind of experience you could be bringing up for someone. I realize that this is not fun. None of this discussion has been fun so far, because I'm taking what is funny to many people and pointing out the ways in which we could be more mindful. And no one likes to hear that, and I'm sorry for that. Strung by Stacy, you shared that you find videos where someone falls or something to be difficult to watch, not funny to you. I know I have come a long way. I used to watch videos of instant karma compilation, road rage, construction site fails, people falling, and I'd laugh and laugh and laugh. And then the more I'd watch, then I'd think, oh, someone just died in that video. Someone's son, someone's daughter, That's a being that's no longer here in their present form. And their family is probably still grieving. In this video, someone just proposed and they had their heart broken. What does that feel like, This person accidentally made a fool of themselves. That must have been very embarrassing. They dropped this heavy object on the floor after putting so much hard work into it, I think as we become more empathetic, we just feel for those whom suffered to make this a viral video. The greatest entertainment shifts in its quality as we become more spiritually mature. Now we are entertained by knowledge, by the insight into deeper aspects of the universe. We are entertained from our own life from the inside out. And our own journey of life becomes a comedy. And we seek the benefit of all beings. And we wish for them no suffering, only peace and love. Hello, dear native girl, and thank you for the heart me that you sent. Om Namah Shakti Shavaya. Kiki, you're wondering, what makes me laugh these days? Good question. It's not like as I've become more sensitive to other forms of laughter, the laughter in my life has gone away. In fact, if anything, I am laughing more in my life today than at any other time. For me, laughter becomes a way of expressing joy. You just fill up with so much joy and it overflows. You look at a bumblebee and it's buzzing, and it's going, pollinating various flowers. You just laugh. You just feel the laughter of the universe. Not because it's necessarily comedic, but because it's joyful. And laughter is a way of expressing that joy. I remember trying to explain to someone why I was laughing because I was looking at this leaf. And I couldn't help but laugh looking at this leaf. Every time I looked at this leaf, it would just bring me so much joy that I would laugh. And they would go, "What? What's so funny? Is there something on my face? Did I say something?" And they would wonder, to what expense am I laughing? Is there some problem? Some mistake? But no, I was not laughing at an absence. I was laughing at a presence. And here there was a presence of joy in this leaf. How wonderful is that? I couldn't help but laugh. And then I started laughing because I was laughing. Thank you, dear Joshua, for your trio of disco loves. Jai Sitaram. Laughing because laughing is the best. I love that, Badarmal. Simple joy like that of a child, So many kids just laugh. You don't know what they're laughing at. They just find things goofy. That's all. It's the simplicity. Well said, Adam. Strung by Stacy, you share when people are feeling joy, the others around seem to catch it. We are sensitive creatures in that way. We pick up on each other's emotions. Much love to you. I love yourself. I haven't read all of your comments so far, but I have picked up on a sentiment that you're going through some challenging periods right now, and all my best wishes and prayers to you. And Kiki, you love goofy laughs with kids. Me too. I think that's one of the best things about being around a kid. Their joy is just so uplifting and connects us deeper with our inner child. Badarmal, you shared that you saw a TikTok of a bee who was too heavy for a flower, and so it bent the flower. I think I saw that video too. That is pretty funny. At the same time, my heart goes out to that bee who wants more than anything to pollinate a flower. That's its dharma. That's its duty. Gregarji, you remember being a kid in a group that was laughing, and you all would laugh so hard, and just seeing them laugh made it funnier. Oh, that's the best. When each other's laugh becomes a feedback loop, just seeing them lose it in their laughter. Oh, that's funny. I've definitely been kicked out of classrooms before because I would laugh and then my friend would laugh and then everything just becomes funny. Hello, Lindsay Robbins. Alfie, you share a beautiful sentiment that you find the most joy in the success of others. I love that. And that's a very, very beautiful lesson that I think many, including myself, can continue to learn from. It's funny how much we live in the inverse of that state from time to time. where our sense of happiness is determined by what we have and others don't. That we have a nice car that others don't, we have a nice house that others don't, we have a nice partner that others don't. And then at some point in the journey of life, it begins to flip. And that we find joy in what others have and that we might not have. On seeing someone successful achieve something that we might not be able to ourselves. Maybe an example of this right now is the Olympics. We might not be able to jump that far, but seeing someone put in their effort and have that effort pay off, wow, it brings us a little joy, doesn't it? And I love that. Kiki, you share laughing, then seeing the next person laughing and laughing more is the next level. Oh, what a source of joy that is. Thank you for being here, dear Alfie. See you at the next point in which our lives intertwine. Cameron, you can relate with that. You got put at the back of the class for laughing in 2nd grade. Oh, me too. In 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade. I think every grade I probably did that at least once. You just can't stop a child from laughing. It doesn't matter what kind of discipline you're threatening. Laughter is worth more than your phone. Laughter is worth more than your privileges to be with your friend in your desk arrangement. Laughter is worth more than the grade you get at that test. It is priceless. Will I be live tomorrow? Yes, and tomorrow is ASMR Sunday, so we'll put extra emphasis on speaking softly and going into validating, affirming, and relaxing topics mainly. Sadness you share, especially when you're not supposed to be laughing, it just adds to the funny. It does, doesn't it? It expands our sense of self in that way. When others place limitations on us, that we should be expressing ourselves in this way or another, laughter breaks those boundaries of the ego. Thank you, Johanna's boyfriend, for the 7 roses. Jai Satchitananda. Clara, you are wondering how old I am. In this body, 22 years of age. Since I was born from the womb of my mother. Now, just a time check for many people. That we're going to laugh. To laugh? Yes, we are going to laugh. But we are going to end our Sangha within the next 20 minutes or so. Strung by Stacy, you share, when a comedian laughs at themselves, it can be funnier than their jokes. Oh, isn't that the funniest? When a person can't even get the joke out yet because it's so funny they make themselves laugh. Aren't I an old soul, asks Adam. The oldest of them all. I'm being a little cheeky. Of all the souls, I am the oldest. How do I know this? Because there is only one soul. My soul is your soul. Your soul is my soul. Our soul is the soul of the universe, and we share one soul together. Just with different minds and personalities which express various aspects of that infinite soul. When we say that a soul is eternal, we might say it's very old then. But at the same time, it's ever new. Because it's the same as it always was in each moment. M.O., you share that you're pretty sure we do have individual souls. This is a beautiful point. In Sanskrit, the ancient language of spirituality, there's a word that's sometimes translated to soul, and that's jiva. And we have individual jivas. My jiva is different from your jiva is different from the jiva in a tree, the jiva in a tree is different from the jiva in a blade of grass, and that's different from the jiva in the sun. Every being has an individual sense of self. But we all share the same self. We all share the same universal self, that is, life. That feeling of I am is the same feeling of me as it is in a tree. In that sense, there is just one great being that we're all a part of, and we all express in a unique way. Another word that gets translated to self in Sanskrit is, as Melissa says, Atman. And although we have different jivas, we all have one Atman, indeed. That's not to say that our sense of individuality is an illusion or anything like that. Some people come to that conclusion. Instead, we do have unique senses of individuality, and that's very real and beautiful, and the diversity speaks to the unity of our shared source. Because we are so unique in each way, that implies the diversity that exists within all of the expressions possible from the source in which we've all come from. And that super soul, if you want to differentiate, the Paramatma, the soul of souls, is something we all share. We couldn't connect to each other if we didn't share something that deep. Another word for that is a collective consciousness. We are a collective, and we are included in this cosmic space of consciousness. Thank you, dear grateful human, for the tiny that you sent. Yahoo! And Hybrid Jen, thank you for your pair of disco loves and your quintet of fires. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. You all would like a Yamathon, another Yamathon. I think we can do that. But my favorite Yamathon is the one where you never know when it's coming. Where the live just keeps going and going and going. And you expect it to stop at any moment, but it doesn't. A little bug climbed on me. An aphid or something. I don't know if the camera will focus. Oh, there it did. And it jumped, just like that. In one frame, it was gone. Those are beautiful tattoos, PPL. And they have such genuine truth and meaning. Will I share a reading before we end? Yes, and that reminds me. I would like to begin to wrap up today's live stream. Thank you, dear Hybrid Jen, for your disco love. Hari Om Tat Sat. So before I do my reading, I like to do one thing, and then we'll follow the reading with a song sent by Jo-san. My question of the day is very meta today. I'm wondering, what is the most fruitful question? Oh, a stick fell on me. I am francophone. We ask many questions to get answers. But let's ask a question about a question. What question leads to the most questions? Let's explore that together. And that's beautiful, Clara. I'm so happy that you were able to connect with Mother Nature in that way. And fresh girl swag. I'm happy that you find this a good space to be in. Maybe the question is the most fruitful question. I like your way of thinking, Babblefishy. And I love how, Strung by Stacy, you give such a simple, succinct answer. How can I help you? That is a very fruitful question indeed. What am I grateful for? Asks Lindsay. I love that just as much. What fruit did you bear today? Shares Siram. I like that a lot. Orange, you glad I didn't say orange? That's a very fruitful question. You are funny. Fresh girl swag, you asked the question. What if I approach the situation from another perspective of life? That's powerful. Very powerful indeed. Do I have to? Asks Strung by Stacy. A good question. This is a hard question, shares Lola. It's a little meta, isn't it? Heather K, you ask, what would give your life meaning? I love that. Parabrahman, you give a very Advaitic answer. The question that dissolves the questioner is the most fruitful. Saturnus, oh, that's a powerful one as well. Will this matter in 5 minutes / days / months / years? I like that. Yeah. Sometimes it can feel like this experience is much more indicative of our whole life than it actually needs to be. To be or not to? That is the question, Kostas, isn't it? Babblefishy, you share in seriousness. You like thinking about what you can learn, even in hard times. And that makes the hard times meaningful, literally. It gives you a reason to bear them. And Kostas, you add to that, to be a bee or not to be a bee. I love that. Is doing nothing something? I like that too, JD. Am I having fun today? That's a wholesome one, G to infinity. Checking in with yourself. I like that. What makes you wake up in the morning? Ask Gregor G. That's a beautiful one too. What makes you happy? I like that, Esther. Magdalene, you ask, how can I be more present? I love that. And I love yourself, as you ask again for those who are new. Toward what have I turned my face? I love that. And Kostas, I am sorry that I have been rude to you. I don't know in what way you mean this. If you can help me understand, I would be grateful. If it felt insincere as I read your comments aloud, please know that I genuinely enjoy the questions that you've answered to this question of the day. I think to be or not to be is a classic question, and to be a bee or not to be a bee, that's a fun twist on it too. So thank you for sharing that. Sorry if my connotation was insincere. Thank you, dear Gabriella, for the rose you sent too. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Esther, thank you for your pair of roses. Jai Sitaram. And Babblefishy, thank you for your finger heart. There's one for you too. Thank you for sharing your piece, JD. I love that. Fresh Girl Swag, you ask, what assumptions are we making that might be limiting our solutions? Oh, that's a practical one. And have I drank enough water today? That's a good question always strung by Stacy. Let me take a swig now that we've brought the topic up. I love yourself. You're going to eat with your family and chat. Make a beautiful evening. Namaste. Thank you so much for being here. All my best wishes and blessings to you. Josand, don't worry about the copyright. It's okay. The only thing that a copyright would do potentially is not allow me to make money from the re-upload. But I don't turn monetization on anyway, so it doesn't make a difference. But still I try to minimize the copyright. Nonetheless, when it comes to sharing something that you've created, I would be honored to share it, even at the sacrifice of a virtual, what do you call it? A virtual copyright strike. Thank you, dear John F., for your heart me, your friendship necklace, your finger heart. Hari Om Tat Sat. And for your tiny yippee. So you add to the question of the day, how can you bring more source energy into your life? I love that. These are all great questions to answer the question of the day. And I love how the greatest of questions bring rise to even more questions. JD, you were wondering, do I take donations? Well, they're never expected. And there are people claiming to take donations on my behalf, which is not true. Though they apparently offer spiritual services under my name, I haven't authorized that. So I wish to be clear that if someone reaches out to you asking for donations, then it's not me. But if you do wish to show your support, then there are ways to do that. But it's never expected. I'm happy to be here no matter what. Thank you, dear Bobby Sue, for your heart me, team bracelet, best team, and I cheer you up. Hare Krishna. Alright. Our penultimate segment will be reading some more about the Svadhisthana Chakra and the hidden power in humans. So let's crack that open, shall we? We were talking about some negative aspects associated with the Svadhisthana Chakra, sacral chakra. Some of them include violence and cruelty. Unfortunately, these are found everywhere in nature, in humans as well as in animals. Their roots lie in the natural desire for self-preservation, in the instinctive desire to survive. Life is never totally free of violence. For example, when we drink a glass of water, we destroy tiny microscopic beings. Even when we cut flowers, we also do harm, because plants are also living things. In the ancient scriptures, it is said that we should only take such nourishment as is given freely by nature from the various grains, seeds, and ripe fruits. But nowadays, if we waited for the fruit to fall naturally from the tree, we would die of starvation. Therefore, unfortunately, we are unable to completely follow this rule. But should avoid any bad intention in thought, word, or deed in the taking of our food. Our vanity and our hedonism should not be the cause for the suffering or violent death of another living being. We possess the gift of empathy. We are able to understand what causes suffering to others. Therefore, we can also learn to avoid violence and cruelty. Our endeavors should be directed towards never depriving anyone of anything, never willfully destroying anything, or intentionally or thoughtlessly causing pain to anyone. By overcoming the cruelty within ourselves, our capacity for love and collective responsibility increases. Renunciation of cruelty subsequently leads to selfless service becoming a reality. And oh my goodness, that was the most Canadian thing. The most perfect goose V just flew past. I wish they flew in a way that I could have shown you, but nonetheless, I get to share my joy for it with you. It made me happy to see that. In German, the word for passion is Leidenschaft, translated literally as suffering created, which means we ourselves create that from which we suffer. The causes of this are material and physical desires, known as bhoga vasana. Finally I understand what the root of the Sanskrit word bhogi means. It is said that in spiritual life we go on a journey from bhogi to yogi. Yogi, of course, means a spiritual aspirant. But bhoga, referring to the physical, now that makes sense. I see the etymology in other words. So a bhogi is a materialist. Oh, that's fun. Anyway, these kinds of material desires blaze like red-hot flames within us, and we try everything possible, and frequently exactly the wrong thing, to extinguish the tortuous sources of this fire. Passion can completely blind or corrupt us, but in a positive sense, passion is also part of life. As part of the reproductive instinct, it serves to preserve and protect partnerships and possessions. As enthusiasm, it is an expression of the zest for life. I love that word. Vitality and creative energy. Outstanding and ingenious works originate from this passionate love for life. But in its egoistic and unscrupulous expression, that's a great word too, it has exactly the opposite effect and works destructively instead of creatively and protectively. And for those who are wondering, it's bhogi, B-H-O-G-I. Passion is widespread within our society as fanaticism and addictive behavior. Addiction in any shape is destructive, and it has many faces. It is encountered as excessive eating or drinking, as a dependency upon nicotine, alcohol, or other drugs, and also as a craving for more money, possessions, sensory pleasures, power, or fame. Fanaticism also occurs within many areas of life as racism, nationalism, and in cultural matters, in religion, or in politics. The positive expression of passion is the commitment to work which serves all living beings. For example, in conservation, charitable or humanitarian activities, as well as in the arts, research, education, sport, etc. In this way, passion becomes an active, structured force and a strong motivating power in our spiritual development. In its positive expression, passion reveals itself as idealism, enthusiasm, and a strong will, and as such is very important for the whole of mankind, as well as for people such as scientists, researchers, volunteers, saints, etc. we'll just read one more aspect of the Svadhisthana Chakra. In its positive aspect, pride is the feeling of self-worth and an expression of success. We feel an elated sense of satisfaction about our achievements, and this spurs us onto greater endeavors. However, pride can be unhealthy when it is not accompanied by generosity and gratitude, and instead leads to egocentricity, self-importance, arrogance, and vanity. We should include others in our success and embrace them joyfully, rather than be suppressing them or placing little value on them. Pride should not be blind. We should take particular care that we never hurt others. Positively, pride is always accompanied by humility that protects us from arrogance. All right. Thank you for listening. Let us pause our reading of The Hidden Power in Humans there for now. Thank you, dear John Simon, for the heart you sent while we began reading. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Lindsay, thank you for the manifesting. It's very kind of you. Om Namah Shakti Shavaya. Thank you, dear John Simon, for another trio of roses. And Anazek, thank you for your rose. Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Hairspray Betty, for the flowers too. Hare Krishna. And Grateful Human, thank you for the ice cream cone and an ice cream. My mother bought me one last night. I think it was gelato, actually. It was a lemon gelato. And I was talking to her. It's like the soul of a lemon. It's like eating the soul of a lemon. Because it tastes like one, but it doesn't have any color. It's perfectly white or texture or shape. It's so formless. It's just formless lemon flavor. It's like eating the soul of a lemon. I think that's funny. I am happy that you like this reading. You've been waiting to ask me about weeding, Sherisu. Weeding, like pulling weeds out of a garden. That takes an intimate knowledge. I think it's helpful to know what truly counts as an invasive species, because many things that we deem as weeds are actually just vibrant expressions of life that are healthy parts of the ecosystem. We just don't like seeing them because we want our lawn to be perfectly manufactured. So knowing the difference between something that brings more negativity to the ecosystem and something that is not actually a blemish but a vibrant part of it takes a lot of interconnectedness. Now that's the literal interpretation of weeding. I assume that spiritually there are also faults within ourselves we can pull out like weeds. And in the same way, we have to be understanding that some parts of ourselves are not actually blemishes. That we can allow these various parts to flourish, even if they don't seem like flowers to begin with. Many weeds have wonderful medicinal properties. So too, many of the so-called faults within ourselves have abilities to help us heal and grow in other ways as we use them and understand them. I'm happy we can resonate, Tam. If anything I say resonates with you, it's because we're two branches on the same tree. Namaskaram. JD, you shared that you support rewilding rather than killing, having manicured lawns. Me too. I love seeing a beautifully diverse gardenscape. You know, even if it's just totally wild, or it looks like that. It brings so much biodiversity. It provides shelter and food for little creatures that have been displaced due to our construction of homes. Our industrialization was the word. And it provides cooling for the world as well, which is really interesting. Lots of shade. And thank you, dear Hybrid Jen, for the lucky spray. I didn't know that was a gift that you could gift. I feel very lucky whenever you're here. Thank you. Hari Om Tat Sat. So you tend to tell yourself that it was the plant's time to go. You get torn around this. The most important principle of all of yoga is the first of the 5 yamas, and that's Ahimsa, which means the least harm. It's not possible to be completely free of violence. As we've talked about, even drinking a glass of water, our digestive system destroys various microbes, which is good for the sake of our health, but for the sake of these microbes, they were happily living. So it's not possible to be absolutely free of violence. But this more accurate translation of Ahimsa, least harm, ask, what causes the least harm? By taking this weed out of my garden, am I alleviating more suffering from the other plants than I would be giving to this plant alone? Am I providing more opportunities for life to thrive? If that's the case, then you can still practice Ahimsa just by weeding. We have to have a really intimate relationship with our garden in order to have the confidence behind this. And take good care to observe the effects that we make. Take a mental note or even a physical note of the changes you're making and seeing how that brings new animals, new creatures, new plants and into your garden. What a wonderful practice that is. All right. With that, before we leave, I'd like to share a show and tell section. As I said, I wanted to start doing this. Right now, Yosan is the only one who filled out the form, but if you want to check out the link tree in my bio, there's a place where you can drop some files of a creative project or any passion or interest you feel like you want to express. And I'll do my best to take time in each live stream to share that with you all. I'm going to close the music right now so we can listen to Yosan's song that they have shared with us. Let me start recording too. You have shared that this is your most recent song, and it's a little clip of your song that's already available on all platforms. And I made sure to get the one with sound, as I know you sent too. So give it up for Yosan and his little song. Wasn't that fun? I think one of my favorite parts about the video is that you're sitting on little berries and bushes and mushrooms. I think that's so cute, like a fey creature. And I love that sentiment about making a little slice of heaven. It's beautiful. Good beat drop. It was nice. I imagine that's a little slice of a larger song that you share is available on all platforms. So thank you for sharing that. I saw that your username is Josan, JOSANDPORT. So, as you are in chat, people here can click on your name. People are just listening in the recording. You can find him. Wow, wonderful. Thank you for sharing your musical abilities with us, Josan. And I look forward to other people's sharings. And please check out the link tree in my bio so you can share with me and everyone your abilities. I'd love for this space to be a celebration of the uniqueness of So many people. I'm happy that many people love it too. G2 Infinity says, we need more, Yosant. That was brilliant. Shares humble. That was great. Shares grateful human. Loved nature, revealing truths about love. Me too. You wish you could sit on mushrooms. I feel the same way, dear Anna. I love the positivity, not just shared to me, but amongst yourselves. I love the community. Oh, Magdalene, you are thanking me for giving you all the opportunity to share a piece of ourselves in the Sangha. Of course. What would an assembly of beings be without an opportunity to share what you have to bring? Thank you, dear Claire, for your heart me, your cloud bread, 21 cloud bread. In fact, best team, I cheer you up, a team bracelet, an ice cream, a fire, a finger heart, a tiny, yippee, whipped coffee, popcorn, an ice cream cone, a music play, and a gimme the vote. My goodness. You always spoil me with such a diversity of gifts, reminiscent of the diversity of expressions that you provide for the world in all your unique ways. So thank you for that, and thank you for being you, Claire. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you, John F., for the cloud bread you sent earlier, too. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Gina, thank you for your pair of music plays and your gimme the vote, too. Much love to you and your sister and your family. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you, Lindsay, for your heart me. Om Sum Suryaya Namaha. Salutation to the sun. Thank you, dear Anazek, for your heart me and pair of roses. Radhe Radhe. Good night, Babblefishy. Your cat says it's bedtime. Well, we have to listen to our cats. We are their servants. Yeah. We think that we're their owners, but to the contrary, they think. All right, my lovely birds and bees. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your nighttime or your evening or afternoon or morning or whatever time it is for you. Thank you, grateful human, for the balloons you have sent. Hari Om Tat Sat. And thank you for your well wishes, Mr. Mate. Namaste, humble. Good night, Josant. Goodbye, bye. Bye, I think, means spiritual sister. In Sanskrit, it's used for a female or a feminine aspirant. Bai, B-A-I. Not to be confused with Bai, B-H-A-I, which is the masculine equivalent. Spiritual brother, Bai. Anyway. Good night, dear J.D. Humble bumblebees. I like that, Magdalene. Good night, dear Don Suela. And you feel, G2 Infinity, that you feel truly blessed each day for us. And thank you for being here. This recording and its clips are going on to my Yamsox Live's YouTube channel, which you can find in the link tree in my bio. So if that's something that you'd like to check out, please go and see that. Tomorrow I'll be recording another episode of ASMR Bhagavad Gita, the 11th chapter, which is a very spicy chapter. Krishna reveals his cosmic form to Arjuna, if I'm not mistaken. And I'll be uploading that within the week. That's my Yamsox ASMR channel. Thank you, dear Claire, for another paper crane, a cloud bread, a rose, an ice cream, a fire, a disco love, a whipped coffee, a finger heart, and an ice cream cone, a W, a music play, a TikTok, a pumpkin spice latte, and another best team. You really keep me here for long. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Grateful human, thank you for your balloons. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And Badarmal, thank you for your tiny. Yippee! Without further ado, may you all have a wonderful rest of your present moment, and may this live stream be an offering to the divinity within you. Namaste. I'm just going to end with the Gayatri Mantra. Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. Om, from the earth, from the material existence, to the air and the space beyond. And there we find that sun-like divinity, worthy of worship, dissolver of darkness, feminine divine, we meditate upon. May she enlighten our intellects and propel us forth. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Peace Peace Peace. Happy birthday.